So companies need to build out their ISMS prior to hiring an auditor. The ISMS, unlike SOC 2, is very prescriptive. It has very specific requirements. It requires very specific documentation. It's very, again, prescriptive in that manner, unlike SOC 2, which is very flexible. It allows you to kind of build to your company's needs. In order to build an ISMS, you really do need someone with ISO experience. This was typically done if you had that knowledge in-house or through the use of consultants. If no one inside the company had enough knowledge to implement the ISO 27001 program. So you typically hire a consultant. They'd help you develop the policies and procedures in order to be ready for ISO 27001 and put those procedures into place. After completing readiness, you would hire an external third party to actually perform an internal audit prior to your actual audit, which sounds a little weird. You have to do an audit prior to the audit. The internal audit requires that you not use someone in the company that is managing the program. So they want it to be independent. They don't want the same person managing your ISO program to also be doing the internal audit. That would result in what ISO calls a non-conformity, because they want to see independence of the person internal auditing you and the person managing the program. So you would do this internal audit prior to the ISO stage 1. The internal audit would hopefully identify any major or minor nonconformities with respect to your ISMS program, if any existed. So hopefully none exist, but if any did, your internal audit is there to catch any major or minor nonconformities with respect to the program. If any major or minor nonconformities were identified, you would put in a corrective action plan to solve those issues prior to moving forward with your stage 1 audit. And so I mentioned stage 1, and that is the beginning of your journey down getting ISO 27001 certification. So you go through this readiness process, you do an internal audit, then you sign up your external auditor, and you get a ISO stage 1 in place. ISO stage 1 is essentially a brief look at your program. So they'll look through your documentation, they'll take a look at some of the more serious controls, but they don't do a full audit. They're essentially checking to make sure that, hey, are you actually ready for the ISO stage 2, which is the complete audit of your program. And so that is the process for getting an ISO certification. Is you go through the stage 1 audit. It's just a brief overview, usually 1 or 2 days max. And then you go through the ISO stage 2, which is typically about a week-long process after the stage 1 is complete. And typically that will happen. They'll typically give you a little bit of time in case the stage 1 identifies any issues in order to resolve those issues between the stage 1 and the stage 2. So they'll usually give you a month or two to resolve any problems prior to that.